anymore. I think he's taking a break from Magic, but he was part of that group that had been doing very well last year.
And this is a deck we really haven't seen very much of at all.
No, this is, when I saw Turbo Depths, I was blown away. That is brand new to me. But this should be fun. Playing against a legacy mainstay in Bug Delver. This Bug Delver list, there are 4 Delver Secrets, of course, 4 Deathrite Shaman, 4 Tarmogoyf. Actually going to find a pretty straightforward list here. Sometimes you see Tomb Stalker, but you're not going to find it here. You've got Spells and Force of Will. There's Daze, a couple copies of Spell Pierce, 4 Hymns, 4 Abrupt Decays, a couple Ponders, Brainstorms. Nothing really crazy about this Bug Delver list, but what this deck does do is it plays some of those powerful cards in Legacy.
And has broad-based answers to nearly everything.
Yeah.
Wasteland, Force of Will, Abrupt Decay, it's hard to play a matchup where your opponent brings something to the table that you just can't handle.
Yeah. You know, this deck does have some weaknesses to things. A card like Jace the Mind Sculptor, it turns out to be very good against this deck, but the goal is not to let him get it in play.
Interesting thing about Darin's deck here is because he's playing with Intuition and Loam, he has room for all sorts of bullet lands. So usually in Loam-style decks, you see 4 Wastelands. Only 1 in this list because he can Intuition for it and then get it with Loam. To that end, also, there's a Maze of Ith, a Dark Depths, and 4 copies of Flagstones, 3 Thespian Sages.
4 Flagstones?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. This is, like, way different than anything I've seen.
A Tabernacle, a Glacial Chasm in the sideboard, along with the Bachuka Bog. So a lot of utility you can get with the Intuition Loam combo.
Well, let's start things off here. It's a Tundra on Minard's side. It's an Underground Sea plus a Ponder on Ramos' side. 4 Flagstones. Huh.
Yeah, not messing around.
Yeah. Haven't seen that, I don't know if ever. I'm racking my brain right now. Kind of sweet, though. Kind of sweet.
He does have 4 copies of Crop Rotation, so
yeah,
that's on the house.
You know what we call that?
that's good deck building.
That's good deck building right there.
That's
yes,
good
sir.
deck building.
Yes, sir. I can dig it.
That's free. You rotate away your Flagstones. You give your opponent that look. You know, like the look what I just did look.
You see what I did?
You see what I did?
You see how busted this is? Okay, it's not really that busted, but it's pretty good.
It's pretty busted. Crop Rotation's a fairly busted card, even when you're not sacrificing Flagstones.
Yeah, when I used to, this is going to be a brainstorm response to this brainstorm. When I used to serve at a restaurant, I would bring the, someone at the table of water and say, "This is on the house."
Yeah.
And walk away. I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy like that.
Don't tell my manager, but this one's free.
Now get to tipping. So Minard is going to resolve a brainstorm here. Again, I think that Darin has, again, top-aided multiple Open Series events in both formats. And I think he's probably got himself a nice edge in this tournament because no one knows what he's up to.
No.
We have not seen a deck like this in who knows when.
It's possible he could cast multiple of his signature spells, and I would still not know what he was up to if I was an opponent in this tournament.
And then all of a sudden there's a Dark Depths flying at you. There's a Trop.
Remember, this is all being done in response to Ray's Brainstorm.
Now it looks like a Pierce, maybe? I like it.
Yeah.
Now, we could see a Daze on this Pierce here, and we will. But, now's Ray's turn, to me, doesn't even seem nearly as good. He's going to get to resolve Brainstorm, sure. But I don't think he's going to really get to deploy a threat here. And so Darin gets to keep a nice mana advantage.
Ray is spinning his tires here. I mean, he's struggling to get something into play that's proactive. He's also looking for a second land drop in all this too. So it's a rough opening for Ray. He does have to fight over this Brainstorm because, again, he has no lands. But this is not the way that Bug Delver wants to start off this match.
So we're going to see what happens here. Looks like both players making sure the board state is correct and cards in hand and all that good stuff. Might have a judge call here in just a moment. Not too sure.
Yeah, maybe some confusion about if Ray has the correct number of cards in his hands.
Yeah. Did he put 2 cards back? Exactly where we're at in the turn? All that good stuff. He may actually want to, if the cards that he put back, maybe he wants to resituate them.
Well, I think he's only just picked up the... Okay.
Okay, there we go. So he replays his land. And so now we're good to go. All right, so both players are happy. Engineered explosives, the draw. I get to watch Darin play a lot more in this area. Very skilled player.
His hand seems fairly stacked. I mean, the Supreme Verdict means it's going to be really hard for Ray to get anything of substance going.
Yep. And you have to imagine that Ray doesn't even know it's coming. That's the other thing I think is really nice. You know, Darin did get a little railroaded game one. Here's a Living Wish, huh? Yeah, that's going to get spell pierced. What's in that toolbox?
Yeah, don't want to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, his sideboard is almost pure toolbox here. 3 copies of Spell Pierce, and then looks like all Living Wish targets. Mostly lands, a Candace, a Kasali Pride Mage, a Peacekeeper, a Sylvan Safekeeper. Ooh, Sylvan Safekeeper plus Peacekeeper.
Ugh.
The lock.
What's up, Merfolk deck?
Well, the Merfolk deck can't even beat the Peacekeeper.
Some of them start Dismember now.
Sure.
Some of them. But you put the Safekeeper in play. That's it.
A lot of attacking decks cannot get out of that.
Yeah, that's it. I like a good brew.
Yeah.
Here's a hymn.
Even a-
Sacrifice the Windswept Heath.
Even a combo deck like Elves. There's random combo decks in the format that can't get out of that.
Yeah. They'll have to do a lot of Deathrite Shaman activations.
Yeah.
So Darin's going to search with the Heath. We'll see what land he wants to search for here in response to this Inventory. I might see a Brainstorm in response to this. Maybe even a counterspell like a Spell Pierce. Gonna go get himself a Trop. Yeah, it's time to hide some stuff from the hymn.
Yeah.
So here's a Brainstorm. And a Daze. Ugh, man.
Yeah, I like this. Definitely good to trade 1-for-1 when you're hemming
You
someone.
better believe it. And there's a land past turn back. So Darin's without any cards in his hand. Ray's hand is pretty good. Not sure if he has a green source yet, so he's going to cast a Ponder. You saw the Tarmogoyf in his hand, so he's going to look at a couple of cards. He found a green source there. There's a Ponder and friends. And there's a blue to Delta. So Delta's going to come in, and he'll just pass the turn back. The other 2 cards were lands, so I have to imagine we're going to see him sacrifice the Delta here in just a moment. It looks like this is going to be on the upkeep. He's going to cast a Brainstorm. So hit 1, 2, and 3. Couple cards go back. Sacrifice this.
And now Ray can really get some significant pressure on the table.
Yeah, Tarmogoyf does what Tarmogoyf does. It's big. Puts the clock on it. It's efficient and cheap.
And Darin is pretty much incapacitated here.
Yeah, what can he draw?
The other issue is I believe Ray has Wasteland in his hand.
He does.
Which protects him from a lot of the draws Darin could have to catch back up.
The Dark Depths shenanigans.
Yeah.
Tabernacle. Any of that stuff. Darin's best draw here may be a card like Life in the Loam.
Well, it depends. I mean, this Tarmogoyf's not going to give him a whole lot of time. We have instant sorcery, artifact, land, and the potential to get larger.
So here's the big fella. The Lurgoyf and Tarmogoyf. And we'll get our handy dandy Tarmogoyf die out there and see exactly how large that thing is.
Yeah, I believe there are no creatures in the graveyard,
Yeah, not just yet.
but there is an artifact.
Here's a Ponder. 2 and 3. See Living Wish among the cards. Also a Force of Will.
Three spells. I think this one's unlikely to go back. There it is.
Ever heard of it? One of my very good friends, when Tarmogoyf first came out, bought 40 of them for $2.
Oh, that was my first piece of Magic Online speculation. I saw them, and I was like, I think this card could be good. So I bought 4 of them for 3 tickets apiece.
Yeah.
And then a little while later, they were like 20 tickets.
Yeah.
And I was like, haha, sucker, sell them. Scoop the pot.
Yeah.
And then, 6 months later, they're $300 or whatever they are.
Yeah, he bought 40 of them for $2 a piece, and he's just like, I don't know, it looks kind of good. It's kind of big. I remember he bought them, and then I played like some local Wednesday night tournament in Ohio with a zoo deck that had like Seal of Fire and that card in it, and I'm just like, whoa, that's big.
Oh, yeah. That kills a creature.
Yeah. That is really nice.
So it looks like Darin's found some juice here. Intuition for the package.
Intuition is juice.
And I do like this setup here from Ray, giving him the Dark Depths, which with the Wasteland in Ray's hand sets him a full turn back to reassemble this.
The question here is how fast is the clock here for him? It's pretty quick. And the fact that he drew a Tarmogoyf this turn actually makes it a little quicker. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, I don't think that he can assemble the combo in time unless he draws Exploration.
If it's one Tarmogoyf, it's not that big of a deal. But a second Tarmogoyf makes this a nightmare.
Yep.
In combination with that Wasteland, too. I think if you're Ray, you deploy this Tarmogoyf. It's time to get the beatdowns going. There's a Wasteland. He's going to go with Liliana. Okay.
I mean, Liliana's a little risky to me because through Loam, he can buffer, he can still get his pieces back and buffer his hand the whole way. I think that's the spot where I would have just deployed the other Tarmogoyf.
I think you got to keep beating down. And if he draws a Supreme Verdict, so be it.
Yeah.
But it seems to me he's priced into just dredging Loam the entire time anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Supreme Verdict implies that he's taking a draw step instead of loaming, and you're pretty happy with that.
So here come the dredging of a Loam. We'll take a look at a couple cards here that are going to get turned over from Minard. So a Heath, a Verdict, and a Living Wish go to the bin. He's, of course, going to cast the Loam. And so now he gets back these toys. A Thespian Stage, a Dark Depths, and a Mystery card. Looks like Mystery card's going to be Windswept Heath.
He gets to play one of the lands.
Yep.
He gets to keep the Heath in his hand.
Yep. To discard, of course.
Yeah.
So he's going to go with the Depths. 10 counters on that bad boy. Kick it back. And see, now because he didn't deploy a second Tarmogoyf, his clock may not be fast enough.
Yeah.
And that's the big issue. Because you see, Tarmogoyf's going to attack here for 4, correct? You'll see that happen. Let's see what this is going to be. Now, there's a second Tarmogoyf. So this Tarmogoyf attacks for 4. Deathrite. Oh, now see, Deathrite Shaman changes it.
Now it's
That's big.
10. This attack knocks him to 10.
Yep.
The next attack knocks him to 2.
And then Deathrite
Shaman
Shaman finishes it.
Yep.
If Deathrite Shaman wasn't the draw for the turn, he'd come up a little bit short. So that's actually a really big deal. So there goes the Heath. So now it's actually on Minard to actually draw something that matters.
Yeah, I don't think he can get Loam back at this point. The draw, he may simply have to draw Supreme Verdict.
Now, in theory, this is kind of interesting too, I think. He could dredge into Tabernacle. And then Tabernacle forces Ray to pay for all of his creatures.
But that's just taking a turn off. That doesn't move him anywhere forward.
Yeah, I guess that's true because then he's not playing Thespian Stage, so then he's not presenting the Dark Depths. Okay. Okay. That's true.
And you can try to find maybe Glacial Chasm could give him sufficient time.
That's true too.
Yeah, Tabernacle is not a reprieve here.
So all he can do is play Tabernacle. So all he can do is play Thespian Stage, excuse me, and pass the turn back.
So he can make a Merit Lage inside of combat here to block a Tarmogoyf, but then it just gets eaten up by Liliana.
Yeah, that's the big issue too. Boy, that Deathrite Shaman was timely, I tell you. Discard spell? That's a Delver. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
That's an error.
Uh-oh.
That's a huge mistake. And Ray is leaning back in his chair because I think he realizes the gigantic mistake he's just made.
Yeah, Darin might have been able to just squeeze out a third game here. He just needed to attack with his 2 Tarmogoyfs. He gets to Edict the Merit Lage Tug in post-combat. puts Darin on basically having to draw Supreme Verdict the following turn.
And he
Instead-
concedes the game right away, realizing the mistake that he made. So Darin Minard is going to steal game number 2 here against Ray Ramos. Turbo Depths and Bug Delver are going to go to a third game after just one minor mistake.
That's all it takes.
Jeez. Darin has to be breathing a sigh of relief. You
Oh,
have to
yeah,
be kidding me.
he was dead on the table. Essentially dead on the table. I mean, he had a draw step the following turn
Verdict.
to try to
maybe.
find Supreme Verdict.
Yeah.
Even then, he's still facing down against a Liliana that's ticking up and so forth. But instead, a stay of execution, and now another shot at it, game 3.
Yeah, I guess it will be a third game here. So while these players do get ready for that, we're going to talk about Star City Games game night, which is coming, Patrick, in September, which is right around the corner.
Yeah, sign-ups are closing for September, so get there soon if you want to do this at your local store. 2 pins and 8 foil tokens per week, new pins and foils each month, every Wednesday night. Starting in September, StarCityGames.com/game night for more information. Stores, if you want to register, you should do that very soon if you want to get this content for September. This is non-sanctioned or sanctioned, up to the store, whatever format you want to run it as. Constructed, draft, two-headed giant, anything goes. Just get some players in your store to compete for pins and foils.
August 11th is the cutoff date for September, so if you do want to have this in your local store, bug your TO. It's not hard to set up for. StarCityGames.com/game night. Hashtag is SCGN for Twitter. And of course, you can send any emails with any questions to game night at StarCityGames.com. We look forward to hosting this at your local store.
Sky High Comics in San Marcos, my local store. Hope you have this up and running.
I actually have a brand new local store now that I have moved in Seattle. The old Card Kingdom, which many know. Many have heard of. I live about 10 minutes from now.
The nuts.
It is really something, isn't it?
It is a great store. It is a great store.
Now, of course, I have a lot of love for local game stores. Of course, when I was growing up in Cleveland, playing at Ground Zero Comics in Strongsville, Ohio, about 15 minutes from where, 15 minutes strong, I'd say 10 minutes from where I actually grew up. I would go there every day after school. My dad would drive me up to the store. One of my friends would come pick me up. I'd sit there, play, battle all night, and then go back home and may or may not do homework.
Yeah.
May be playing Warcraft 3 all night instead, whatever. But it was an absolute joy to be able to do that. And now the local store is Card Kingdom. Hopefully they're running Star City Games game night. Hopefully your local store is too, because it should be a lot of fun.
My local store, the only game in town when I was growing up.
Yeah?
Played there in high school. Worked there for a long time. Still got a lot of love for it.
Target. First of all, the only game in town is a sweet name for a store.
Yep.
That's the first thing. And then the, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the initials or whatever?
Yep.
Yeah, Target is also really good. Everything just worked out great.
What was also awesome is that we were in Hillsboro, my hometown initially.
Okay.
Then the store moved one town over to Somerville, where there was, in fact, already another game store there down the street. So we were not technically the only game in town, but kept the name anyway.
Yeah, you were. Who went to the other store? Come on.
It was there for a while.
Target took control.
Eventually.
It's time for game 3. Minard and Ramos will do battle. Minard stole that second game.
Yep.
Probably shouldn't even be here for the third, but he gets the opportunity to take advantage of it.
Oh, and his opening hand has crop rotation and flagstones.
Wow. Oh, nice inning. Boo. How do you pass up on that kind of value?
I know.
That's like keeping 8 cards. It's basically the same thing.
It's very close to an 8-card hand.
Feels like an 8-card hand.
Plus, you have your draw steps, so it's like an implied 10
Now
card.
you have 1,800 cards.
Yeah, you have basically your whole deck's in your hand by turn 1. I wouldn't be able to let that one go.
No, me either. One lander with crop rotation and flagstones. Hope to peel the green source. That's it. You lose. I've kept worse. I kept 6 lands Thragtusk at the Grand Prix. I've kept worse. Did I get Thoughtseize on turn 1? Absolutely. Absolutely I did. Do I regret it right now while I sit here in the booth? Absolutely I do.
Lose the game, plus the shame is public.
Look, he was supposed to cast Inquisition. I'd still probably lose if he did that.
And then he's
even
supposed to
though
have
he
Abrupt Decay in his hand.
Yep.
And then he's on 5.
Yeah.
And you're on 7 cards with a Thragtusk.
And then he plays Tarmogoyf if there's nothing in the graveyard.
Right.
Delver's Secret's pretty good start here for Ray.
Yeah. Darin appears to be contemplating a Force of Will on this.
Yeah, he's got Force plus blue card, but he's not going to do it. Draws a Brainstorm for the turn. I think Force plus blue card there is a little aggressive.
On 6 cards, and Ray had a daze in his hand too, so that would have been
a beaten.
beaten. So it looks like Darin has crop rotation. Well, he definitely has his dark depths. Can't quite make out if there's a crop rotation in his hand, but I believe there is. So he could keep his Force of Will, blue card, and just try to fight over that.
Nice, a Spell Pierce gets revealed, so Delver's going to flip. Ray going to draw. It's a good start. It's one of those starts that makes this deck look very, very good. Seen it before. Chances are over the course of the day we're going to see it again.
It is the best threat to capitalize on all the insane spells in Legacy.
Yeah. Flagstones was the draw here.
Oh, yeah.
Could be value time, boys.
8-card hand again.
Just going to play Flagstones past the turn back. It's time for a Brainstorm. Let's set it up. No fetch land in play. A Liliana, a Daze, and a Delver are the draw. So you can set up that Delver to flip 2 turns from now.
It's a pretty tough spot for Darin. I mean, slogging through 2 Insectile Apparitions, plus the soft permission is going to be hard. He really needs Supreme Verdict to compete with this sort of draw. That's the card.
His deck feels reliant on Supreme Verdict. Engineer Explosive is another card that could take care of things.
Although that's a spell that has to actually resolve,
Yeah.
which may be a problem.
So Brainstorm resolves, 2 card goes back. Liliana's the draw. And this is a Delver. Not time to attack on Insectile Aberration just yet. There we go. Minard going to go down to 14. See, Ramos only has 2 lands in his hand. He has a Hypnotoric that's stuck there. Can't cast it. No Liliana either. See the Pierce. Minard knows about that. Doesn't know about the Daze just yet.
Unrelated to all the current decks in play.
Okay.
You know what card I think might be honestly underplayed in Legacy?
Give it to me.
Sudden Shock. How many of these decks are blue tempo decks playing Deathrite, Stoneforge, and Delver? They're trying to protect it with soft counters.
I don't disagree with you.
It's all over the place.
That's part of the reason I played Tarfire and Goblins. And
Yeah.
and as I kept playing with it, I kept adding more of them. And I ended up getting to 3 main and 1 on the board.
For a format with a lot of busted stuff going on, Shock is a pretty good card.
It's really good in this format. Tutorable Shock doesn't hurt either.
Yeah.
Now the problem is you have to play with Goblins in your deck.
Yeah, you pay other costs.
Yeah, there's definitely an issue there. But Shock is pretty good. Okay, I thought it was going to be a crop rotation. It's just going to be a Brainstorm, just, the best card in Legacy.
Well, it's probably just trying to bleed out the Spell Pierce here. He's aware of it.
That's true. It's going to resolve, though. And 3. Gotta imagine he's digging for Verdict. He needs Supreme Verdict. Yeah.
Then the game potentially becomes pretty easy, in fact.
This Delver is flipping.
So here's the race. I mean, yep, he's found explosives too, although that's a card that Ray can fight over.
Yep. But we can protect with Force. I mean, I imagine we're going to have a battle over it.
Yeah.
Also, it is kind of nice, too, because he can play explosives for 0, and you can have a little battle over it. You can pay for Spell Pierce, you can pay for Daze,
Well,
all that good stuff.
The problem with explosives in this spot is Ray can simply opt not to flip the Delver until Darin uses the explosives and then can flip after the
But
fact.
does he know that?
We'll find out.
That's the question. If you don't think your opponent knows that, this is a great play.
Yeah. And if anything, I'm sure Darin's happy to fight a fight at this point with all of his mana up.
Yep.
If Ray wants to start using some Pierces and some Dazes, Darin's equipped to fight that kind of fight right now.
It's going to resolve. Pass the turn back. Delver trigger goes on. All right. He knows he doesn't have to flip it. That's important. That's very, very important.
So this explosives is still fine, but
I think explosives is great. Because this turn, to me, it seems like an absolute delight. You get the explosives away, the Insectile Aberration and in combat can wasteland your opponent if you want to. Because your opponent hasn't played a land. They didn't have a fetch land for their brainstorm. They brainstormed end of turn, didn't play a land, so you know that their draw this turn isn't a land either.
I wouldn't be surprised if Darin used this opportunity to crop rotation with 2 mana up instead of wastelanding.
Oh, baby. Oh, you see it.
Oh, it's free. Oh my God, that's free. That is free.
It's a crop rotation on Flagstone Stroke here.
So right now the Flagstones trigger is on the stack. That's the first thing that happens here.
Now, an additional cost of crop rotation to sacrifice a land. If you sacrifice Flagstones, nobody wins. Look at this. What's he going to search for?
Could be anything. Well, actually, it can't be anything. It has to be a plane.
It does have to be a plane.
But you know what I mean.
It could be a Misfill Plains. Look at that. That would be, oh my God, that'd be great.
When I say it could be anything, I mean it's a very defined range of things it could be.
It's very
But
clear.
you know what I mean.
It's very clear what it'll be.
Yeah. It's actually quite limited in what it's allowed to go get.
And there's a high percentage chance it will be the card Tundra.
Yeah. I like Tundra here.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
May I resolve crop rotation? All right. Thespian Sage, we are setting it up.
Uh-oh. This is what I liked about Darin's path here, you know?
I think he has depths in his hand.
Yep. He does.
It's pretty juicy. Look at this Turbo Depths deck going to work.
This is one of the best turns I've seen in a really long time. With the 2 mana left over, firing off the explosives.
If you're Ray, when are you going to cast those permission spells, man? You can't take them with you.
Well, I don't know if he realized the enormity of the situation as it was happening.
Darin? I think if you're Darin, you've got to cast. You got to play Dark Depths. It feels so safe.
Yeah, he may want to use Wasteland. He may want to keep mana up, but
yeah, I love this. He's going to waste on the Black Source. Make sure he doesn't lose to a card like Diabolic Edict.
these have been some good turns.
Yeah. And I like this right now, too. He says, I'm going to do this right now. Chances are you don't play Stifle. I know you don't have a land in your hand, so you can't stop this. So how about a 2020 Jerry Thompson token? And I've got Forcible with the blue cards back up. Do your worst. Here's a Delver Secrets trigger. Spell Pierce. That's going to flip. Add that to the grip. Spell Pierce is a great card. It's just not great now.
And Darin's doing all this with Force of Will plus blue card left over.
It's an enviable position to be in.
Just did a great job of sequencing. And this is after just some highway robbery to take game 2.
Yeah. There's 20 ball. Only thing that thing doesn't do is trample. Windswept Teeth going to get sacrificed here by Minard. See what land he wants to search up. Going to go with the Trop. Two mana. See what this is going to be. He's going to cast Living Wish. Go to the toolbox.
Imagine this just gets pierced.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
Ramos going to draw a card. And he's going to pack it up and pack it in. It's Darin Minard's match, my friends. 5-0 with Turbo Depths.
This is some fun stuff. I have a feeling we're going to see a little bit more of Darin over the course of this tournament. I mean, this was a really fun round to watch.
This deck was really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. Hopefully we can have him in the sideboard with Andrew Schraub because we have not seen anything like this before. Obviously, we love the Flagstones and crop rotation interaction.